Hey everyone, welcome to the first official cooking episode of the American Eatery. Today we are going to be making a dish that was made famous during the California Gold Rush called the Hangtown Fry. And it gets its name from the town that it was invented in, which is modern-day Placerville. It's east of Sacramento into the foothills of the Sierra Nevadas. And there isn't really a good origin story, like a consensus. There's no hard facts. There are two myths, however, as to how this dish got created. I like one better than the other. So the first one is a gold miner was in the fields and he struck it rich. And so he goes into Hangtown to a local restaurant and makes the cook stop what he was cooking and asks him to order or to cook him the most expensive thing that he has. And the three most expensive things were oysters, eggs, and bacon. And bacon not as we know it. And it's kind of interesting because those are pretty much three staples of the 19th century diet. That's what pretty much everyone ate. And so it's interesting that those are the most expensive items. The reason being is the bacon, it's salt pork, and it would have to be made back east, and then it would be shipped into San Francisco, and they would sail all the way around the Horn of South America, and then it would have to be carted from San Francisco into the foothills. The oysters came from the Bay Area, the San Francisco Bay, and they would have to be carted in pretty much daily on ice to the Sierra Nevadas, which is about 130 miles away. And then as far as the eggs go, the population of California boomed. It was just overnight. You have tons and tons of people, and so there just simply weren't enough chickens to keep up with the demand for their eggs. So that's kind of why it was so expensive, and I know that doesn't sound too terribly appetizing, especially for those of you who aren't a huge fan of seafood, but it actually, I think it's going to be good. The second story is there was a condemned man, and I like this story a lot better. And he was sitting in his cell, and the jailer asked him what he wanted for his last meal. And so he thought to himself, what takes a few days to get here to just delay his meeting with the hangman? And he came up with oysters, eggs, and salt pork, and it bought him a day or two. So we're going to make that, and we're actually going to throw in a little bit of cheese just to kind of hold it together, and then just some onions, because miners had access to wild onions here in California. Didn't always know what to do with them, and didn't always recognize them, but they did have access. So without further ado, let's get cooking.
Hi, my name is Ian Lemieux, and I'm going to be helping out Quinn on this historical cooking project. So what we're doing right now is the oysters are cooking on the fire. We're going to prep those by cooking them first, and we're going to cut them up and add them to the omelet. Right now I'm priming the pan that we're going to be frying all this in, and basically to do that you take your pork rind, just the skin, and you lay that into a hot pan, which is hot enough. And yeah, there we go. And that's just gonna get oils into the metal. It's the equivalent of greasing the pan, really. And you can get any kind of dirt, grime, whatever off the pan as well, because you're not gonna eat this pig skin.
Just so everyone knows, we have not actually made this before, so this will be the first time that we try it as well. You want me to start cracking eggs and mixing them?
Sure. Fecal matter. Our questionable oysters, which actually adds a little bit of authenticity to this whole thing. because these have traveled the same distance that the oysters we would have had back then did.
On ice.
On ice. Sitting on top of a chest of alcohol.
Mm-hmm. Over rough mountain roads.
Yeah. So, we've just finished our salt pork, aka bacon, and we have some of this excess grease. We're not going to throw that out. Grease is very important for all the cooking you're going to be doing. So I'm going to save it in this cup. Oh yeah. So I'm going to put that aside. And we got a nice greased pan, so put our onions in. And we put our oysters in. I'm gonna apply a little bit more of our grease. Yeah, let me mix this around. Alright, now let's pray to the cooking gods that this doesn't stick and turn into a scramble. Alright, go for it.
That's turned into more of a scramble.
Hangtown scramble. It mentioned in the book that it was draped over the side like that, I think it said.
Ah, beautiful. It's almost indistinguishable from the raw ingredients.
The Hangtown Fry or Hangtown Scramble.
In this case, it's more of a scramble. Sounds really good.
Yeah, that's great.
That's surprising. That's like really good. Like I will make this in my home from now on. To all of my friends, you're welcome.
Yeah, the onion adds a nice little crunch.
Mm-hmm.
The oyster has like the perfect amount of like kind of oceany flavor with a little like pop of salt. And the egg is cooked to perfection.